Take a trip back to the past and learn the dark and twisted origins of Amanda Waller's anti-vigilantism fervor. All this and more in the pages of Absolute Power Origins issue number 1. So then, this new 3-parter from John Ridley is an updating of Waller's classic origin story from the Ostrander years in 70s Suicide Squad, if you remember that story. Before she was the Wall, Amanda Waller was just a simple, everyday, loving mother whose life is horribly shattered when her daughter is raped and murdered by a local crime figure going by the name Candyman. And yes, as far as I know, this guy actually does predate the 1992 movie and the 80s short story from Clive Barker. Here's the big new twist in addition though, Waller's loss of her family is actually reflected and juxtaposed with the night that the Waynes were murdered at the Monarch Theater. You see, when those rich, well-to-do people were murdered, the cops did everything in their power to try and solve that case, but when it was Amanda's daughter, well, they moved pretty damn slow. Oh, but it gets better. When the police failed to catch Candyman, Joe Waller, Amanda's husband, took it upon himself to dole out vigilante justice himself. Joe would kill Candyman, but he himself would die in the resulting firefight. And as we learn, because he technically committed a crime, it means that his life insurance isn't going to be paying out. Amanda learns this too, while at the same time on the television, Commissioner Gordon is taking credit for the arrest of Joe Chill, a fact of which he proudly admits wouldn't have been made possible were it not for someone outside the police force actively assisting him and his team, you know, a vigilante. And it's right around here you see the seed of hatred for all super individuals begin to be planted in Amanda Waller. The two-tier justice system wasn't there for her when her and her family needed it, and it seems that while some people are perfectly okay, in fact even celebrated for taking the law into their own hands, other people are actively punished. This situation would end up changing Waller for years to come. Not long after, she would also lose another one of her sons in a retaliation shooting by some of Candyman's men. Waller would vow from that point on to do whatever she needed to fix the broken world in which she lived. To do this, she ended up hitching her wagon to an up-and-coming politician who, you guessed it, is running on an anti-superhero, anti-vigilante ticket. No one really seems to like this guy's odds right now, and he doesn't actually have any money to pay Amanda, but she's more than willing to work harder than anyone else and put her political science degree to the test if it means getting this guy into office, and we see this by her coming in early before anyone else and staying long after everyone else has left. In fact, Waller works so damn hard on her campaign, she doesn't seem to realize how the rest of her family at home is slowly but surely starting to implode due to her absence. Amanda can say she's fighting for her kids, she can say she's fighting for a better world, but it's clear that this is her own messed up way of not dealing with all of the loss and trauma that she's been saddled with. Things take an interesting turn too when we find out that the guy Amanda is working for, his political opponent, is not only 100% pro-masked vigilantes, but he also imagines a future wherein vigilantes could completely transform the face of law and order in America. Imagine personalized strike teams for every community. Waller, of course, is scared as hell about this potential future, viewing it way less as law and order and more about command and control. In fact, it's in these early days, during her long nights away from home at the campaign office, does Waller begin work on what she calls Proposal X. Though that's still a long way off. For Waller to get what she wants, she's going to need more political power, and there's always been a tried and true way to get that, and that is to completely and utterly destroy your opponent's credibility, in this case using a classic honeypot trap, to obtain compromising blackmail photos of Waller's pet politician's rival. Here's the thing though, when she takes this slam dunk victory to her chosen guy, he begins to get cold feet, saying that he doesn't want to win this way, that this election is his last shot at doing something that matters, and he wants to prove that he could actually do it under his own steam. Of course, in classic Waller fashion, Amanda isn't going to take no for an answer. In fact, she drops a major bomb saying she chose this guy not just because of his anti-vigilante stance, but also because she knew damn well that this guy was as crooked as the day was long. In fact, this politician here was actively taking bribes from Candyman while he was alive. Yes, that's right, even back then in the early days, Amanda Waller had an amazing ability to make bad people dance for her and do her bidding. In fact, Waller really twists the knife into this guy, saying not only could she blow up his life and his future political aspirations, but she'll also destroy the life of his wife, who was only ever nice to Amanda. You see, all that time alone in the campaign office, she's actively been cooking the books and making it look like the wife was actually skimming off the top. And now, unless this guy's willing to fight like hell and get himself elected, Waller's going to absolutely nuke him and his family from orbit, and when he does, meaning a young Amanda Waller gets to take that first trip to Washington, where she vows to puppeteer this man from the shadows, making sure he votes on all the right things and joins all the right committees to help build her own war chest for her next big political maneuver as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Absolute Power Origins issue number 1, everybody, and man, I was such a soft lay for this material. I'm a massive Amanda Waller fan and a huge Suicide Squad mark. I've always said that the Wall might actually be one of the most fascinating characters in DC Comics. She doesn't have any powers, she's incredibly morally gray, and yet she's able to move heaven and earth whenever she wants. If you were a fan of John Ridley's other History of the DC Universe series, then I think you're going to like this series a lot too, because it does a lot of the same things, reflecting real history and topical issues with comic book continuity. What I wasn't expecting and what I ended up being pleasantly surprised by was all the Batman juxtaposition here, saying that, you know, while Batman is a vigilante and while he does take the law into his own hands, he did so in part out of a selfless feeling that no one else should ever have to suffer how he suffered. Well, Waller transversely also starts from a similar position, but by the end ends up feeling more like, I will never suffer how I've suffered before, and I don't care who I have to hurt to make that happen. Beyond that, this is just a cool-ass political thriller that actually does a good job honoring a lot of Ostrander's original story while also updating it for modern times. Geez, we even saw characters smoking in this, and the word rape, which is something you don't normally see all that much in DC Comics, which is wild. Overall, I think I'd feel positive giving this one an 8.5 out of 10, and I'm really interested to see where this story is going to go from here. It also does a great job helping to further explain Waller's motivations in the bigger Absolute Power story and how she's been on this slide from morally gray to completely morally dark. And I certainly do love those kinds of stories.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.